385-5758. I respond to text messages. I will usually call you back. If you want to write down my email address, you can also email me. It is CPD, as in Chattanooga Police Department, CPD, 962@gmail.com. Yes, ma'am. Keep it. What do you mean? I meant don't keep it in your car. I'm sorry. My bad. Yeah, don't keep it inside your car. Don't keep any of the stuff inside your car. Keep it locked up and safe. I misspoke. I'm sorry. Your vehicle registration, you can keep that in your car. Because your vehicle title. Yeah, because your vehicle title, if you look over on the back side of it, there's a space for seller, buyer information, all that kind of stuff. Also, what you have to do is just write your information on there and forge your signature, and that car belongs to them.
I'm not stopping
Yeah.
and he wanted to see that, and I'm thinking it was my husband to care about.
Right.
And I didn't know it was in there.
I'll never ask for your title. If I pull you over, which hopefully I will never pull any of you over, because if you're driving in Alton Park on midnight shift, you might need to be pulled over. No, anyway. I will never ask for your title. I may ask for your registration, which is actually a smaller piece of paper where you get your sticker for your tag.
But I had all of that in there that I didn't know.
Right. You can keep your registration and your insurance. Actually, it's state law. You have to keep your registration inside your vehicle. And like I said, you might want to keep your insurance unless you've got a digital copy.
You don't have to have the top.
No, you do not. Your title needs to stay separate from the vehicle. Yeah. Yes, safe deposit box, exactly. Or a safe inside your house. But folded up in your wallet or hanging in your shirt pocket is not the best place for the title. Identity theft. Like I said, yes, sir. Hi.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was waving at David.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were waving. I like to wave too. If you want to smile at me later on, I'll smile back at you. Identity theft. Anybody ever been a victim of identity theft? Yeah?
4 or 5 more.
I woke up one Saturday morning after working real late, and Ella woke me up one, actually, and she knows better. So when she woke me up, I knew something wasn't right. She said, Kyle, something's wrong. And she's the purse strings of our house. She's the one who, she tells me what bills to pay and how much to pay, and I do it. She's the one that keeps up with our accounts. And she said, somebody has used our account in Roanoke, Virginia. And I've seen Roanoke, Virginia on a map. I've never been to Roanoke, Virginia. At a Food Lion. They got $216 worth of groceries from my checking account at a Food Lion in Roanoke, Virginia. And she asked me, she said, either you're not telling me something or somebody's used our account. And I said, baby, I've been asleep next to you the whole time. She said, I know. Somebody used our account. So I had to go through this big old long rigmarole process. I had to get a debit card and all that kind of stuff. That's the closest identity theft I've ever come. That day, I signed up for, and I'm not endorsing, I'm just saying what I did. I signed up for LifeLock. It's advertised on the radio, it's very well known, and if anything happens to your identity, your credit, or anything like that, they'll work to get it put back in place. Because if you've ever been a victim of identity theft, you know that kind of process it is. It can take years and years to get things put back in place. Sometimes people just refuse to do that and they just file for bankruptcy. Because if your bankruptcy is off my credit in 7 years, it's going to take me 8 years to get my identity back. So, it's a very long drawn out process. I highly encourage you, make sure you're checking your credit scores. Make sure that you're signing up for a credit protection, a reputable credit protection agency. Stay on top of these things. What is identity theft? It's not necessarily that somebody takes my fingerprints and somebody takes my ugly mug and walks around it. That's not what identity theft is. Somebody who takes your identity, they are using your social security number. They're using your address, your birthday, your phone number. And they're opening it up, credit accounts in your name, bank accounts in your name. They're going to Amazon and buying things in your name. I worked a case actually just a week and a half ago where a lady was looking at her credit card statement. And just an older lady, and she didn't have access to internet or anything like that to keep track of it. So 27 days prior to the day I interacted with her, somebody had purchased over $4,000 worth of items on Amazon. But criminals are not the smartest amongst us, and the address they used was their actual home address to have these things delivered to them. So that made that case open and shut pretty quickly. But identity theft. The federal government and the state government has a big old long gobbledygook definition. My definition of identity theft is someone pretending to be you. And anything that somebody could use to try to pretend to be you is needs to be protected by you. What are some different ways that you can discover identity theft? Credit card statements. That's a very obvious one, right? What other way? I'm sorry?
Credit card.
Yes, ma'am, your credit card statements. What about bank statements? How many of you still write checks? Anybody still write checks? I ordered a checkbook the other day. I had to reorder checks, and I got to looking, and that's the first time I've had to reorder checks in 6 years. Yeah, there's only like, what, 3 books in these boxes? I don't write checks very often. Does your bank send you a copy of these checks back to you? No? Yours do? You can actually request. Used to, they would send back a whole big old thick envelope that had these canceled checks. I'm glad they stopped doing that. But they will a lot of times still make a copy of these things and send it back to you. What all does a check have on there that has everything? It's got your name, your spouse's name if it's a joint account. It's got your address. Sometimes people will put your phone numbers on it. I've actually received a check one time. Somebody had their social security number on their check next to their driver's license. Had I been a dirty thief, I could have made off like a banshee with all that stuff. So they can take your check stuff from your checking account. What's another way to discover you've been a victim of identity theft?
They call us if there's something that's fishy, because they know where we live and where we don't live,
Mhm.
something comes up from another state, always with the call.
Yep, your bank will usually do that, or your credit cards. Just a little rabbit trail right here. If you're traveling, make sure you notify your credit card company and your debit card company, your bank company, and let them know that you're going to be traveling. Several years ago, 2006, Ellen and I went to England doing some mission work over there. And we got over there, and back in 2006, we were still using checks, I think. And so the only thing I had was a credit card. So I just started using my credit card in England. Because, you know, American Express is everywhere you want to be, right? But I used it like 3 days, and it stopped being taken. And I had to call and say, yes, I'm the one that's in England using this credit card, because they stopped it. But for those 3 days, had it not been me, they would have made off with the crown jewels in England, you know, of all places. What's another way to discover your identity theft? Think outside the box here. Do what? One time a year, you get a free credit report. And again, be careful about the company that you use. What's the big news of the story last week? Equifax, right? So be careful, who you're using. Obviously, Equifax is one of the 3 credit reporting agencies. My friend right here in the middle, she said that she got pulled over one day. I'm sure that was a long, long time ago, and it wasn't any time in the Chattanooga Police Department, because if it was, I'm sure we were friendly to let you go in the morning, right? Yeah. But I don't know how many times I pulled somebody over and just verifying that their license is good and comes back with a warrant. And I ended up taking this person to jail only to find out that it was their cousin who used their information and didn't show up to court, or didn't pay a fine or something like that, or wrote a bad check, or any number of things. And they ended up having a warrant put on them, and they had to go through the whole process, criminal process, simply because somebody used their identity. So there's lots of different ways that you can discover. Hopefully that's not ever going to be happening to you all. But there's lots of ways you can discover if your identity has been stolen. Make sure that you're keeping track of these. Make sure that you are doing that free credit report once a year. Make sure you're signing up for a credit monitoring business that will help you. Number 4, we've already looked at, yep, it's up there. Number 5, we've already looked at that. Some of the results and harm of identity theft. Like I said, it can take a long, long time. I've known somebody that took them over a decade to get their proper identity back. This person owned a business. I'm sorry, he owned 2 businesses, owned a rather large house, multiple checking and savings accounts and credit cards. And he lost one of his businesses because of it, and he almost lost his house because of it. But fortunately, he was able to use the resources, the financial resources that he had legally to get things squared away as much as he possibly could. I don't have those financial resources. And I venture to say that a lot of us don't have those financial resources. So, it can absolutely devastate you personally and financially. Well, how do you begin to correct this type of financial crime against you? If you look over on through your book right there, the second page, there's some links down there at the bottom. If you become a victim of identity theft, who should you contact? Actually, I think that should be, whom should you contact? Sorry, I'm not an English person. Sorry. Who should be the first person that you contact?
Bank, credit card companies.
Your credit card, your banking institutions, exactly. Who else? The police department, exactly. There's not a whole lot that we can do as a local police department. However, in order for you to get things going to your bank institutions and all that, they're going to require a police report. So the main thing that I would do as a police officer is make that report for you and give you a complaint number so that way you can get these things going. However, if you have your credit card stolen and it's used at Target on 153, then that's something that we need to know, because we can pull the times and the dates stamped on that credit card, and we can actually go to Target on 153, and they will give us a surveillance video of the actual stand where it was used. And a lot of times we can identify people that way. But so, yes, your banking institutions, first off, so that way you can get all this stuff put on hold or canceled. Second off, it's going to be the police department. Thirdly, you'll need to call your banking institutions back, because they're going to ask for that complaint number of the report that was made. The important thing is, if your credit card is stolen, like my debit card, the number was stolen. Actually, I still have my card, but the number was stolen. I had to contact the sheriff's office in Roanoke in order to make that police report with them, because that's where the crime actually occurred. Now, if they used it in Roanoke, San Francisco, Minneapolis, and Atlanta, I'd have to make a report every single one of those places. Fortunately, you can make these reports over the phone. You don't have to take a long vacation, go all these different places to make these reports. Internal Revenue Service, you let them know. They will send you an affidavit that you have to fill out. And basically, it's just, they're putting you under oath saying, yes, my identity was stolen. And they will actually hold your information for a year. And it will be noted on your taxes and on your files. What questions do you have regarding identity theft? A lot of the stuff is self-explanatory. It's also, a lot of this is common sense as well, but sometimes we don't really think about these things. Common sense has to be applied every once in a while. What questions or comments do you have? Yes. Yeah, you have to keep in contact with all these different institutions that you contact. It's not just a one-time and done thing. You have to reestablish a connection with them and then let them know, okay, things are back to normal now. You can take that flag off my account. And they'll be able to do that for you. Right, right. And also, if you didn't hear what she said, the IRS will hold it for a while. The banking institutions won't necessarily hold it for that long. That's why it's important that you get these cards closed and you open up, you transfer your stuff over to the new account. If you see a charge on your card that is not a valid charge, most of the time these companies will reimburse it. There's a little thing called the FDIC, Federal Depository Insurance Corporation, or company, whatever it's called. And The bank will refund you your money, and then the FDIC, they file with the FDIC, and they will refund the institution their money. And then that's when the federal government gets involved in it. Any kind of identity theft crime is considered a federal crime. And so the feds are usually become very involved in it. That's why the local police department is not as heavily involved in it unless it's, we can track things here locally. What other questions you had? That was a good question, by the way. Cool. I am writing name and email, so that way when you come up here, you can't read my writing. That's what it says, name and email. And I'm going to put this right here with my pen. If you want more information, or if you want me to contact you with any kind of further information, please put your email on there. If you want me to call you, or send you a text message or whatever, just put your phone number on there. Whatever you need, I want to be available to you 100% of the time. I feel like first and foremost, that's my job as a Christian, is to be available to my fellow Christians. But it's also my duty as an American citizen. We all have a duty to our fellow American citizens. But also as a public servant, I want to be available to you. I won't get you out of a ticket. I cannot give you any kind of recommendation for an attorney. But, if you've got questions, legal questions or whatever, let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you out. Our next PowerPoint will be the fire safety and medical safety, I think. Yeah, fire and medical safety. Gentlemen, I appreciate your work on that up there. Y'all did a fantastic job for that whole one slide I had earlier. Fire and medical safety. Anybody ever had a house burn down? Great. Anybody ever had a medical emergency at home? Yep, a lot of us have. How many of you have ever even called 911? Okay, a few of you have. Most of you have. Good. Again, I'm not a fireman. I'd rather run towards the bullets and not towards the fire. To me, a fire would hurt more. Bullets, you're done real quickly. But the fire, that might hurt a little bit longer. So I'm terrified of fire. I'm actually more, people have always asked me, why don't you go to the fire department like your dad? He retired as a captain. Because I can't even step on a little step stool without, I'm terrified of heights. So I don't do the height thing. But fire safety. How many of you actually practice fire safety at your house? Anybody ever done that? Most people don't. Do you know the ways that you can quickly get out of your house safely? I think so. My house, I have a front door, I got a garage door, and I got a back door. My backyard is fenced in by an 8-foot privacy fence. Is that really the safest place for me to go? No. What if my front door and my garage door are blocked by fire? Which way do I go then? Well, maybe out a window, or I could go out the back door and hopefully my gate's unlocked, which usually it's not. You need to have these ways practiced. How many of you have more than one story in your house? Several of you. How many of you have an emergency ladder on your second or third story? Anybody got an emergency ladder? No? You know you can actually go to Amazon and type in fire safety ladder or emergency ladder, and you can find them. They'll roll up in like a little bag and something like that. I've actually been inside people's houses and seen these outside each window on the upstairs floors. But you have to have this pre-planning like we talked about. You have to pre-plan for a fire. I hope and pray that none of you ever have a fire at your house. But if you do, how are you going to react? What's the very first thing you do? Do you go look at the fire and spit on it, try to put it out? Or do you stomp on it? Or do you call 911? Or do you leave the house? What do you do? When you have a fire in your house and your house is burning down around you, that is not the time to pre-plan. Because then it might be a little too late. Have a predetermined meeting location, first off. Discuss it with your family. If there's a fire at your house, where are you going to go? Me and my family, we're going to, hopefully if the front door is not blocked, we'll go out the front door and we'll go to our mailbox. The mailbox is typically the best place to go. Because mailbox number one usually is going to have your house address on it, or, the numbers of your address on it. That's going to be where the fire department's going to see you. They're going to think when the fire department's coming to your house, Most people don't have a family of 2, 3, or 4 people to stand out by the mailbox. So they don't even have to look for the address on your mailbox. They see the people gathered there and they know that's where they need to go to. Everybody remembers the mailbox. Did Dad say the trash can? Did Dad say the front seat of the car? Where'd Dad say? Mailbox. That's always the easiest place to go to. If your mailbox is, way, half a mile down the road, if you live on top of a mountain, you gotta go up, maybe the mailbox isn't the best place for you to go to. Generally, a good rule is either 100 to 150 feet away from your house. But keep in mind, fire trucks going to be coming to your house, and don't be standing in the way of these fire trucks. What do you do if there's a grease fire? Do what? Baking soda. Thank you very much. The young lady to my front wins the prize, because I could hear her. No. The prize is a hot pot later on, by the way. Baking soda. How much baking soda does it take? It takes actually quite a bit. I don't have a whole bunch of baking soda around my house. Zachary usually uses it all up when he puts the vinegar inside of it, makes it explode. He thinks that's funny. It's not funny when I make him clean it up. It takes quite a bit of baking soda. What's another way to deal with a grease fire? Smother it. Exactly. What do you smother it with? A lid. Look on there on your sheets. Somewhere or another, I think. Yep, the next page over. What kind of lid don't you want to use? A glass lid. That's for several reasons. First and foremost, a glass lid is only rated for so much heat. But also, what if you drop the lid? Like I got the porcelain tile like my kitchen. What if I drop the lid? Well, then I'm usually barefoot in my house, and I'm going to step on this glass lid while I'm trying to run out from the fire. So, I'll be this out with fire, then everybody's going to be pointing to laugh at me, right? You want to use either a metal lid or even just like an aluminum lid, something that's going to not a towel. Okay, I've seen that before. Somebody tried to put a towel over a grease fire. That's not a good idea. Use something that will cover this. What is something that you need to have inside of your house, in your kitchen? Fire extinguisher. Exactly right. Actually, whenever I switched my house insurance about 4 years ago, and one of the questions they asked me says, how many fire extinguishers do you have in your house? And I told them I had 4. And they said, wow, that's more than most people have. And I said, well, how many most people have? 0. So that actually caused my insurance rates to lower, or to decrease, whatever that English term would be. But a fire extinguisher, keep one really handy next to your stove. And don't have one of those that just squirts out a little squirt and it's over. You need to have one that, have I ever had a fire extinguisher explode on me? Our police cars have our fire extinguishers, some of them, in the front passenger seat floorboard. And somehow or another, the pin in the one I had came out as I was, riding, bouncing around on the downtown street of Chattanooga. And for whatever reason, it just all of a sudden, poof! And it looked like Cheech and Chong. Anybody ever seen Cheech and Chong? I rolled my windows down, like that, and it took me forever to get that smell out of the car. And I came home looking rather ghostly. Keep a fire extinguisher handy. That's the kind you need to have. The kind that explodes all over the place when you want it to. Where do you need to point a fire extinguisher? Base of the fire, exactly. You don't want to point it at the top of the fire. You want to point it at the source of the fire. If your fire extends to your cabinets, that's the time you want to just consider